join that they did it at the BLM Summer of Love protest too.
Yeah. Okay.
They
Yeah.
infiltrate every side, every angle. The government has a hand in the protest.
Well, and I'm not necessarily agreeing with your government infiltration. I'm just saying that there were instigators. There's always instigators. And I was at the BLM protest and I saw instigators there. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
I don't necessarily believe they were government. And we know that some of the ones that were arrested were definitely not government. They were the other side. We also know that, it's not true that no one was arrested because they were, it's just, that's a perspective thing.
Yeah, that is.
And
They definitely were. And there's people that were convicted. But I think the complaint
yeah,
from the J6ers were the over prosecution, the penalty. Like I had a misdemeanor trespassing charge and I got a year. That's insane. I should have got 30 days, maybe 90 days, but I got a year
yeah, I don't,
for
hey,
trespassing.
yeah, but if you vandalize a Tesla, you'd get 20 years.
Is that true?
That's what Pam Bondi said. Does that make any fucking sense to anybody?
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, just wanted to let you know, Mike said his Wi-Fi basically shit on him, so he's going to go to sleep, but he had a good time. So
Awesome.
just
Tell him I'll text him once I'm done. I'd love to have him continue to jump on these spaces. I think he's great to have on.
You got it. And I just want to clarify, I am not the Puerto Rican nephew that Mike was talking about.
Okay.
I mean,
let's go to Thomas. What's up, Thomas?
Hey guys, I got to tell you, I really appreciate the J6 spaces that are coming up. I don't have the technical competence to host spaces. I've tried and I do a very poor job of it. So I appreciate you guys doing this. Because I do think it's a conversation we got to keep alive, right? Specifically, and I know a lot more about this at the classified level that I can't talk about, but what I did a little bit of research real quick that I can talk about at the unclassified level. And there's, if you do a Google search for the Inspector General's, the DOJ Inspector General release report on FBI national security undercover operations.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a kick out of this because I think it applies to a lot of the participants in these spaces.
Can you wait before you go on? Can you give people the summary of what led to this from the space the other day?
Well, what I'm specifically referring to here is the online covert employees.
Okay.
I don't
this
know
doesn't have anything to do with the general guidelines.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't. But it has to do with these spaces, and in particular, the insurrection hunters, or the sedition hunters, or whoever they were.
Oh, okay. All right.
And for example, the J6 Attacks website that was funneling a lot of leads and tips to the FBI and things like that, because that gets at the divisive nature of what happened post January 6th and how quickly it got ramped up, and perhaps who funded it, who led it, who guided it, and who directed it, and who ultimately participated in it. If somebody could give me a 100% on anybody who knows what an online covert employee is,
I don't know,
just so they get a sense. Yeah, I'm looking for 100s. If you know what an online covert employee
I can give you a guess. I'm gonna say Corey Cullington.
Interesting that you would call out Corey. I've been following Corey for a long
Corey,
time.
is this what you signed up for? What he's talking about, Corey? Come on, shoot it straight.
I think the name's hilarious that you would think that I'm an employee.
No, an online covert employee is now. Let me read this to you, and this is for all of you out there that participate and talk to insurrection hunters and sedition hunters, etc. This is from the DOJ report, specifically about the recruitment, hiring of online undercover covert employees. Inadequate training. We found that prospective undercover employees go through a one-time selection and certification process, but once certified, they are not required to attend any advanced or refresher training after certification. We also found that training for undercover employees and online covert employees is not centrally managed, risking inconsistent training among all employees that work covertly. That's specific. That is specific.
Well, that kind of, I don't want to cut you off, but before I forget, that it kind of is admitting that there's not a lot of weight to the research and evidence that was brought to the courts from the sedition hunter.
Correct.
Hey, okay,
Correct.
so stop. Okay, so
Correct.
first of all, you are assuming that sedition hunters are employees of anyone, and they're not. And second of all, you just said that they were undercover. Corey Collington is sitting in this space using his actual government name,
Yeah,
and has been since day one.
Patriotic doesn't.
Listen, guys, listen. An online covert employee uses their true name. They do so because they are a covert employee of the FBI.
You got to post that.
Okay.
You just said they were undercover.
No, they're undercover because they're not declared as an agent of or an employee of the FBI.
So why would they be on here saying that they're doing the work that the FBI should have been doing?
Because that is what they are told to say.
Where did you find this?
Thomas, I'm sorry, but every time you talk,
I want to hear where he found this.
He's an idiot.
No, he's not an idiot.
DOJ nonsense, Thomas.
Listen, DOJ, all you got to do is Google it. DOJ OIG releases report on FBI's national security undercover operations.
Can you put it in the pill real quick?
I can. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
In addition, and I'm going to go one step further because I interacted with many of the sedition hunters. I hope this is the right place to put this. Hold on one second.
Yeah, put it in the comments, then share it to the pill if you can.
Comment. Okay, I should be able to put it right here.
But I've been wondering about.
Did it come up?
Let me see. I don't see it yet, but I'll go in the comments and figure it out.
Okay, but here's the other interesting thing. And this is, and then I'm going to land it here because I think it's important and people don't understand this. Because many of the sedition hunters were foreigners.
Yes.
Foreigners.
I know one was in London.
Yeah. Well, and many of the ones I talked to were in like Switzerland and stuff like this.
Dream Team.
And so here's the thing. A foreigner who is hired by the FBI can circumvent the U.S. Constitution and interact because it's illegal. Here's the trick.
This is literally what I've told them when this came up.
It's illegal for them to interact with American citizens to collect intelligence on them if there isn't the predicate of a crime.
Oh my God, dude.
However, if you use a foreigner as a cutout,
dude,
the foreigner can interact with an American citizen and collect intelligence on the American citizen and then pass it to the FBI and pretend as if they were.
Dude, listen, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have had this conversation with two specific sedition hunters, J6 Dream Team and Patriotic. They told me they were in Amsterdam and London. And when they told me that, I was basically saying a ton of times, you can go literally look in my feed. It might have been on my old page that they, I told them that they were aiding treason. And they said, well, we're out of country, so there's no possible way that we're not citizens. Correct. This makes where did you find this? What is this, an official document?
This is an official press release from the DOJ Inspector General's office regarding undercover operations carried out by the National Security Division of the FBI, saying that undercover employees are not very well vetted. Basically, they're not very well trained and they're not coordinated.
It's literally what I've said for years to Corey.
Yeah, Corey. And so, you guys, the issue here is this is a way for the FBI, in particular with the recruitment of foreigners, to circumvent the U.S. Constitution and collect intelligence on American citizens. I don't have a specific receipt on it. However, I think that if I was running the FBI and I wanted to collect intelligence on American citizens, I would recruit foreigners to do it. And they would do that with cutout organizations. They would essentially make a donation to the sedition hunters. You know, some sedition hunter has the idea.
Part of me
he
feels
goes,
like you're fucking with me right now, because this is exactly what I have said for years to Corey and all.
It's literally the only way. Now, I will also tell you this as a little sidebar, and then I'm going to drop one. I'll land on this, I promise. I got an interview request from some podcaster when after January 6th, after my report had come out, the FBI was investigating me. They investigated me for 2.5 years. I got an interview request from 2 podcasters. And I knew immediately that these 2 Nimrods were FBI employees pretending to be podcasters. So I went ahead and did the interview because I have nothing to hide. And because I'm trained, I knew how to ask questions provocatively that would kind of surprise them. And so at one point, I asked one of the interviewers, we had gone on for like an hour. I asked one of the interviewers, I said, well, yeah, but clearly you have some experience with the FBI. Have you worked with the FBI or, behavioral science? And he's like, oh, yeah. He totally admitted that he was either a former employee or a current employee of the FBI. So essentially what I'm trying to suggest is that the FBI knows how to use, so does the DOD, so does the CIA. We are doing online recruitments. We are doing online interviews. We are doing all these things all over the globe. And the FBI has authorities to do that with American citizens if there is a predicate for a crime. So it would not surprise me one bit, Corey, if you were an online covert employee of the FBI. You're in all these spaces. So can you tell us for sure whether or not, and bear in mind, I don't ask questions I don't know the answers to, but I'm curious what your answer would be. Can you confirm for the audience that you are absolutely have no connection with the FBI?
Other than submitting tips, absolutely not.
There it is.
We're okay. Other than submitting tips, but did you do that? Were you contacted by the FBI and asked to do that, or did you volunteer the information?
That was entirely volunteered.
Even after the first volunteer?
Yeah, man. I've never been asked to do it or go and I don't know, look somebody up or something like that. Like I've gotten a callback on a tip I've sent, but other than that, nah.
I think Political Trance wants to ask you a question. Go ahead.
My question at this point, specifically on that, Corey, was there a venue that popped up in your social settings that um, that appeased your appetite to go and find people that stormed the Capitol, and then you like, yes, that sounds like a good idea, and let's do that.
Sorry, it's real windy. I don't know exactly what you're asking, but it was nice to see people actually charged from especially the violent criminals. Like that was great, but it's not like, I don't know if that answers it. Like, could you say
Well, I
more?
mean, okay, for instance, Corey, are you on Reddit very often?
Yeah, occasionally, but not about J6. I usually do that on X.
Okay, on X. So was there like a group or a chat that popped up where the being like, we need to find these people, who wants to go out, that there wasn't just like a community that came across your desk and you're like, hey, that sounds like a good idea, and
Oh no, I mean that
join the
was
community?
essentially the community that came from this, which is like, I mean, it became known as sedition hunters. I wasn't a big fan of the name at the time. There was kind of capital hunters
Yeah.
and sedition hunters, and personally, I thought that capital hunters was a better name for it because then the whole sedition thing wouldn't, get, of course, brought up. But yeah, I mean that was the community.
Okay, so what Thomas is bringing up is a scenario where the FBI, and of course we already know George Soros funded in a lot of different areas like this to destabilize other countries as well as the United States, would fund different social media settings. And then this sounds like a good scenario for what Thomas just described to fund a group. So do you know who maybe that group where you started becoming a sedition hunter, who started that group? Do you have any idea who the ringleader was or anything like that?
No, because I don't know the identities of the people online doing this stuff. So is it possible that somebody was in there? Yeah, I guess it is. Is it likely? I don't think so.
Now, it sounds like it might be possible that, FBI contrived and launched a group. So that's just a possibility. I'm not
Yeah,
saying it
so
is.
I
See, here's the
I'm
thing.
not
actually
I
saying it
think
is.
let me respond to that real quick. Because if that was the case, then why were 500 tips that we had left completely unacted upon?
Well, the FBI is not real efficient either.
Corey, do you remember those conversations I had with J6 Dream Team? I think you were part of some of them, where her and Patriotic were saying they were in London and Amsterdam,
If,
and
if Patriotic told you
you
that, he lied.
no, do
Well,
you remember?
I will say Patriotic liked to troll you a lot. So like I wouldn't take everything at face value with him. But
No,
I'm not
but
saying
do
everything
you
was a lie.
remember me? Do you remember me bringing up that issue with J6 Dream Team and him?
I mean, vaguely, I remember you guys going back and forth on a few threads.
Was that my old page, you think, or was that this one?
Oh man, I have no idea. You might be able to search on the the CNA Dream Team one and just search for Andrew or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, man. Because I can't believe Thomas found something like this. I've literally been wondering about that because I felt like, um, obviously my opinion on the sedition hunters was that if the election was stolen and there was treason involved, that anybody that was helping prosecute J6ers, in my opinion, was aiding treason. And the response from J6 Dream Team was that, well, I'm not American. I'm in Amsterdam, so I can't commit treason there. And this goes exactly with like it's a loophole, right? It's totally a loophole that maybe the FBI, like Thomas is saying, could have exposed to use people from other countries. I mean, isn't that some sort of espionage? I think that's what I was calling it back years ago. Was that?
It was done entirely in public, like, and all this information was publicly available. I don't know how that would be espionage.
Well, I'm not saying it is espionage, but it's like borderline kind of the espionage world.
Actually, what it is it's a deliberate circumvention of the U.S. Constitution, and it's a constitutional civil rights abuse of anyone that they used who was a foreigner with the express purpose to circumvent the predication of a crime to get inside conversations that were free speech protected.
I think you just gave us a space topic for tomorrow
It,
because this is a
and
whole space.
this, yeah, the reason this is important is because like there are laws and regulations that prohibit us specifically from collecting intelligence on American citizens. But if you essentially fund an organization that is created by a foreigner in, say, Amsterdam, who just says, I really love America and I live in Amsterdam and I want to catch all these seditious people, that was asinine from the outset in my mind.
Yeah.
That has never, ever happened before, ever, where foreigners would go and hunt down people
In
in
America.
another country. It
That's
has
actually
never.
not true.
Give me one instance where foreigners volunteered without pay to go and do all this facial recognition shit and data mining. And
Oh,
I
come on, now
know.
you're quantifying in a very
I know.
specific way.
Name one place.
I know specifically 3, and I'm not going to give you guys names because you guys tend to
Oh,
target.
because
No,
you.
no,
That's
because it's not. No, but and they're here on X. If you look for them, you can find them. I know
name
specifically
name
3 people,
name
and
your places.
they have anti-fascists in their handles, and they are in Europe, and they hunt down people that hang with white nationalist groups that
So,
protest or do things in the
so
United
those
States,
so those could
and they've been
be
doing that
the
since
I just tagged
Charlottesville.
her in.
those could be the same thing
They've been
going
do.
after the anti-fascists. That could be the same initiative being directed towards anti-fascists.
And you know what? I'm
That's
Yeah,
going to
what
but
cut you off,
Thomas,
Thomas.
Thomas,
Hang on, Brad. Give me just
you
one
guys.
second, please.
But
Um,
yeah, my thing is, I don't know why you trust him because Thomas lied to the
Exactly.
FBI so that he could get deliberately into the
well,
January 6th committee
when
to
listen,
testify.
hang on.
He
Let me
was
talk,
so eager to testify to the January 6th committee that he
Brad.
lied to get an audience with them.
I
So
don't
why?
have to trust
So
him
why
when
would
he's presenting
what
information that is
what are
good
you
he's?
talking
information.
No,
about by
he's not.
lie?
You told them that you were with Macias on the 5th and the 6th, and then you got there and said that you weren't with him.
No, I
When the
was
The
I
only
information is
reason
good, you
because
don't
they
have
didn't
to
even want
trust the
you.
source.
They didn't even want to
I
talk to you.
I did see Josh on the 5th and the 6th, but I only saw and I told him that.
And I
No,
want to
they, in
get
the
listen. I
email,
want
you
to
said you were
these
with him
hands.
throughout those 2 days, and then you showed up there. They didn't even want to talk to you. They wanted to talk to him, but you
Wrath.
showed up.
I want to get to these hands. We got a new speaker, Boo, and then we want to go Adam. But I want to stay on this topic if we can because this is really interesting to me, and I think American Summer could. He might remember
The
when
thing
me
is,
and
but
Dream Team
Andrew,
kind of were talking about this.
he's telling you about the report, but the rest of that information is all conjecture.
All right, no, we can talk about it. Let's just go one at a time, and let's try to not talk over each other. And I think I want to do a whole space on this topic, honestly. But let's go to Boo real quick.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thanks for calling me. I got two quick points of reference where I have firsthand knowledge. One is when I was, well, first of all, let me just say I'm a January 6er. I was a known member of the Proud Boys.